Okay, so yesterday we were going over the easy, Hillview Translations easy. Today we're going to go over the Hillview Translations medium. We're not going to get into super spicy at all. And we were hopefully trying to get this as an exit ticket. Not all my classes were able to do it yesterday, but some of them did. Let's just take a look at these. Now, what is a translation? We know it's a slide. All right. We know this isn't a translation, but guess what? We're talking about what this is today. After this booklet, we're going to get into what this is called. All right. Is this a translation? We should know that from coming here to here, it is a translation. And then later on, it even asks you what the rule is for this one. So how do you find the rule? First of all, I know the images are small. Could you just click on it when you're doing the booklet? Click on the image, okay? Then remember, you have to go from R that doesn't have the prime, or I or T, whatever one you want to pick. I'm going to choose the R, and I have to start here, right? And I got to get to this R with the prime. How do I do that? I go over what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's right 6. So you could write that down. You could write right 6, okay? And then down 1, down 2, down 3, down 4. And then it's down 4, okay? And for this one, I'm pretty sure, let me clear the screen. Okay, so this one, what do we have? It was right 6, down 4. Remember how to write this? That's right 6, down 4. And that's how it would look. X plus 6, y minus 4. And we went over that in class, okay? So the rules themselves are kind of tough to understand right away, but you guys can get the hang of it. 2 left and 7 up. Look at this one. 2 to the left and 7 up. 2 to the left, that's x minus 2. And 7 up, that's going to be y plus 7. Okay? You got this, guys. Let's go. Now, rising 4, or right 4, up 3. To the right 4, up 3. Both positives, okay? Ooh, this one's interesting. So it just says 4 down. So you should know that 4 down looks like this, but there's nothing about x. So x just stays there. There's nothing else to talk about x, okay? So it just stays there. Then you got to start looking at images for this one. This one's kind of tough, but you got to see that the t is here and t prime is there. So you're going left 1, up 1. Left 1 is x minus 1. Up 1 is y plus 1, okay? So understand those rules. Do the best you can on those. As you keep going through this, looking at the rules. Oh, is this a translation? No, you know that from yesterday. And then this one again, people still struggle with this one. This is actually a reflection. It's reflecting over this. Think of this as a mirror. Think of this as a mirror. So it's flipping over. If this is a translation, look at the size of this. This looks like this. So if this was a translation, it would have to look the same, like that. All right? This does not. It does not look like that. Okay? So you got to be able to clear that or make that clear in your mind. And then other than that, all right, this one's new. From D, we got to get to D prime or C. Let's do C and C prime. We're going to go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down 1. To the left 5, down 1. All right, you got to be able to do this today. We're going to be doing a little bit of whiteboards with this activity, all right? Keep it going. And then, okay, cool. I think you're ready for this. This one's super simple too. You're going to go right 7, up 2. You guys can do this, all right? I want to see really good data on this. Okay, now I want you to go ahead and get that handout in front of you that we just passed out. And I want you to start to look at these questions. Actually, I'm going to do something a little different too with you guys. All right, what I was going to show you is we were allowed to use this thing called patty paper. And you ever think about frozen hamburgers? It's almost like tracing paper, but like everything in frozen hamburgers, what's in between the patties? This is kind of the paper. Obviously, this wasn't between burgers or anything, but you can kind of see through it too, which is kind of cool. So what I want to do on this one, just to show you, we're talking about reflections, and it says across the x-axis. And actually, I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to do number 2 first. Number 2 is a little easier. Sometimes they start you, and it annoys me, with more challenging problems than you should see right away. So let's go ahead and look at this one. And I'm going to say L, U, and is it a X, okay? And I'm going to draw the shape. If you were using the patty paper, I would have you use pencil. And I'm thinking about if I should pass it out today or not, but maybe I'll just use this as an example today. We'll pass it out maybe next week. If you're using this paper, let me see if I can go ahead and draw this out. It's having trouble. Here we go. And there's my x-axis, okay? I'm also going to draw my y-axis too, just so you can see what's going on in the visual of this. Now, as you look at this, you can see the image here. This is going to be a reflection over, it says the x-axis. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to fold this paper over the axis if I can. And do my best ability to do that. And when you see what's going to happen here, as I fold it, this is what it kind of looks like. A reflection over the axis. And now look at where it is now. Does it look kind of like a flip? And that's where the new points are going to be. So it started here, and then it flipped over, okay, down to the bottom. Now, here's the way we're going to do it just with our pencil today. And I really want you to pay attention because this is not that difficult. But when you see it happening, you got to stay with me, all right? So if it's the x-axis that we're reflecting this over, this is like the mirror that we're reflecting it over. If you look at L right here, how far away is L from the x-axis? It's 1 unit away. So what we're going to do on the reflection is go 1 unit this way. And there's the new L. How far is U from the x-axis? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Sorry about that. And then how far is X from this? X is going to be how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. X prime. And now go ahead and draw your triangle. Okay. And hopefully you get a good sense of what's going on here. Now, as you look at doing these together, there's going to be some tough ones. And I don't want to do the super tough ones quite yet. But looking at this sheet, there are a couple handful ones here. So here's the deal. This one says x-axis. We're going to reflect it again over the x-axis, which is great. That's fine. This is our x-axis right here. Hold on one sec. Sorry, a scammer was calling me. Let me turn my remote or my phone off here. And then as you're working on this, I want you to realize that this one is actually kind of more challenging than I wanted to do. Actually, let's do, no, we can use the patty paper. So let me go ahead and get the patty paper out again. I want you to see the patty paper with this one again. So it's the x-axis. I'm going to draw both of them again here, x and y. You can handle this. I don't want to think sometimes I think, oh, it's too tough. The kids aren't going to be able to handle that. I shouldn't think that way. I should be like, you guys got this. All right, G, and then that one's called Q. Okay, and let me go ahead and connect these dots. Okay, now with this one here, we're going to reflect it over the x-axis. So again, I'm going to fold it on the x-axis here. And this is going to get a little crazy. When you do it with these two, you can also flip it over completely. This is kind of crazy. Watch this. You can flip it over. And then now line up the axis again. And now look at the flip that happened. Look at that. That's a reflection. So this one makes sense. The L makes sense, in my opinion. These two make sense. These two make sense to me. But this Q part is kind of tough to look at and what's going on here. It looks almost like a butterfly or something, wings. So let's go ahead and tackle this with our coordinates. If it's 2 away here from the X, we're going to go 2 here. L prime. All right. If G is 1, 2, 3, 4 away, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. G prime. And if Q is only, so here's the deal. Q is this far away on this side, so we flip it to the other side. It just has to go off the x-axis, whichever way. All right, and there's our reflection. Looks kind of confusing. Okay, let's keep it going. What if I wanted to do the y-axis reflection? We're going to go y-axis reflection, and let me do it one more time We'll do one more time with our patty paper. I know you must be like, Mr. Music, you're wasting the paper. No, it's okay. This is what it's meant for, to kind of give you a visual of what's going on. And you guys know when you test for the big test in May, we're allowed to give you this too. All right, if I was to flip this over and fold it over, and again, fold it on this line, sorry. We're gonna flip it. It's a flip, remember? We talked about that. If I flip this over, it looks like it's touching almost, right? So it's flipping over that y-axis. So here's what it's going to look like. The t is pretty easy to find out. The t, how far is it from the y-axis? Remember, we're doing the y-axis. This is the y. It's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be t prime. Okay? The I is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. And that's I prime. But what about this y? Remember what you saw? It's still touching the axis. So guess what? There's no flip off the y. It just stays there. And that's where the new y is. Kind of confusing, but you can see the flip happening. All right? Go ahead and do 4 on your own. And I'm going to change this, guys. 4, I want you to do it over the y-axis. Sorry, guys. I'm going to change that over the y-axis. So it should be ending up over here. So how many spots? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then D is going to be over here. M is going to be right here. And P all right. Sounds good. And hold on. If you keep looking through this problem, as you keep going through, sorry, let me get back here. This is where it gets a little more interesting, okay? So as you're looking through this part here, I want you to go ahead and draw all the points here. Over 2 up 2, over 2 up 5, over 5 up 4, over 5, 0. And mark these points for me too. All right, and then 1 second here. Sorry about that, guys. So when you do this right here, this is what's interesting. You're going to do it over the x-axis. So flip it over the x-axis, and it's going to flip over this way. So what's weird is this F isn't going to change. That's where the new F is going to be. And if you still don't get that concept, if we were to flip it over this guy here, and I drew it out. I know I'm using old patty paper, but I want you to see it again. If I flip it over here, okay, if it flips over down, notice that it's still going to be there, okay? That's still happening. So make sure you see that happening. It's still going to stay there. Now this is 2 spots away here, so it's going to be T prime. C is going to be down here, and Z is going to be right here. And if you can get to this point, awesome. Now here's the question. There is a rule that we want to talk about in a second. And actually, we're not going to deal with it quite yet. We will touch on it. Let me go ahead and talk about this T. T, where is that coordinate at? That's at 2, 2, correct? And then where's T prime? That's going to be at 2, negative 2, okay? So when you look at this rule here, it was 2, 2, and then now that's x and y, and now it's 2, negative 2, okay? And let me tell you the rule for an x-axis reflection. I'm going to write it right now. Just like we did the other rules before, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go all right, and there's the rule, okay? So it's kind of interesting. Look at C. What if C is over 2 up 5, all right? C prime. Now, hold on, C. Now, C prime is over 2 negative 5. Do you see that? So the x stays the same, the y changes. So when you reflect across an x-axis reflection, the x stays the same, the y changes. Okay? All right, let's look at the x-axis on this one. Why don't you guys try this one? All right, now this one is over the x-axis. Same idea. Go ahead and try to do this one on your own. This is 2 spots away. All right, and there you go for that one. Okay, now flip it over. I'm going to help you out with these rules again. So the rule for the x-axis reflection, we're going to write this on the top, is we just talked about it. xy, the x stays the same, the y changes. Now for a y-axis reflection, it's similar in the idea that the x stayed the same on the x-axis reflection. For a y-axis, the y stays the same and the x changes. Okay? So that's the pattern. So this is for a y-axis. Make sure you don't get those confused. And this is for an x-axis. Okay? So when we're looking at these just numbers here, let's do number 9 first. So there's no negatives, so that's going to be easier to do. And it wants an x-axis reflection. So f prime, w prime, k prime. You have to give me the new coordinates, okay? So let's go ahead and try that. So it's going to be 2, negative 2, right? Because that's what's doing. The x stays the same, the y changes. X stays the same, y changes. X stays the same, y changes. All right, let's do that again though, up top here. All right, this is K and Q. What happens on this one? This one, there's some negatives involved. So the X stays the same, but the Y changes. If it's a -1, negative times a negative, positive. All right, here, 4, you can't mess with a 0. 0 is not going to change. You can't change a 0. But then 4, positive 4. Okay? Very nice. Good job. Again, these are like notes you're using right now for this, okay? Now, on this side, there's quite a bit going on here, but the y stays the same and the x changes. So the x is going to change and the y stays the same. X is going to change. Y doesn't change when it's 0. Nothing changes on 0, okay? And x is going to change. Y stays the same. X can't change on a 0. Y stays the same. All right? Negative x comma y. All right, here we go. The x is going to change. Y stays the same. X is going to change. Y stays the same. X is going to change. Y stays the same. X is going to change. Y stays the same. Okay. Why don't you try to go ahead and do the reflections on the bottom part on your own, and Miss Alonzo can go check over your work on the bottom. Okay? Do the best you can, guys.